Hi, and welcome to part 3 of how to run an outdoor dog show. So in part 1, we have covered to start with a fun dog show, a rough date and dates when not to run one, where to look for a venue, toilets, parking, permission, where to look for a judge and steward, presents, and the judge and steward roles. In part 2, we discussed insurance for both, an insurance and a license for a companion dog show, rosettes and when to order them, where to advertise your dog show, sponsors and prizes, stalls and charity stalls, what classes to have, and how they can enter to pay the classes. So when they arrive, if you're going to do paperwork, they're going to need a booking in slip. And it's going to look something like this. Welcome to, and then you're going to write the name of your dog show. Classes are £1, £1.50, £2, whatever you want to charge. Please circle the ones you want to enter. So on the schedule, they'll have a list. You'll have a list of classes, and it will say, for example, class 1 at Waggy's Tail, class 2, Cutest Puppy, etc. They would then look at the schedule and say, yeah, I would like to enter class 1, class 4, class 7, and class 10. So they'd circle those classes. They'd write their name and their dog's name. They'd write the dog's age if you've got Cutest Puppy and Best Veteran classes, and the child's age if you've got a child handler class. That person would then add it up, say they're £1 a class, they're entered 5 classes, they hand you with £5, and you keep that little bit of paper. Okay. Now, with that bit of paper, you then need to transform it into a form. Now, what I would suggest is having an A4 pad of paper and having each class on a separate bit of paper. So you'd write at the top of the page, class 1, for example, Waggy's Tail. Numbers down the side of how many people have entered. You'd have the owner's name and then the dog's name. The only ones that you need to add a section to is if you've got a child handler class. So you'd have numbers down the side of how many people have entered. Again, you'd have the person's name, the dog's name, and then you'd have the age of the child. And the only other one that you need to add another section to is if you've got a puppy and a veteran class. So you're going to need, obviously, the dog's age written on a column on that one. The reason is because it makes things easier. So what you do, once they've filled in the form, they've paid, you've got that little slip of paper, you've then transferred it onto an A4 bit of paper. And when the show's about to start, once everyone's entered class 1, for example, you'd rip that page off, you'd hand it to the steward, and then the steward could then walk around and say, right, we have 5 people in this class. And then they go round and then they say, right, okay, there's one person missing. We need, for example, on the form, it says Sally with Snoopy. Have you got Sally, please, with Snoopy? Sally with Snoopy? Yeah. Could you enter the class, please? Class 1's just about to start, for example. Okay. And that's how it would make it easier with that one. Now, if you are going to run a companion dog show, like I say, if you've run fun dog shows before and you want to now do a companion dog show, these are the list of classes for a companion dog show. So AV stands for any variety. So any variety terrier or hound, any variety toy utility, AV gun dog, AV working pastoral, AV puppy 6 months to 12 months, AV veteran 7 years plus, and AV open. Now, make sure that you know which dogs need to go into which class, okay? So, for example, someone has entered the gun dog class and they've walked in with their dog and everyone says, excuse me, that's not a gun dog. That's a hound. That's not a gun dog. Problem is now is you've already had the hound class and they've entered the gun dog class and they have to leave because their dog isn't a gun dog. So make sure that they know exactly what breed of dog they are that needs to go into what class. if you're uncertain, ask someone or Google it. You don't want someone going into the wrong class, okay? Because with these, as you can tell, they are all different apart from obviously veteran and open and puppy. So once it's one of those classes where you won't get people entering class after class after class like it is in a fun dog show. They will probably do AV Terrier, for example, and then maybe AV Open, or maybe just AV Terrier. So like I say, make sure you know that they've ticked the right class for the right breed. So what you'll need for extras, and this is only for companion dog show, is you'll need card numbers. And you'll also need some safety pins so they can pin the cards to them. Basically, it's just cards with numbers on, and they would just pin the number on themselves. Okay. So here's an example of a booking in slip for a companion dog show. You would always start with the pedigree classes first and then the fun dog show afterwards. Okay, it's always that way around. So this is a little slip of paper that they would fill in when they arrive. Welcome to name of your dog show. Classes are, now normally pedigree classes are more money than fun classes. So for example, £2 a class for your pedigrees and say £1 a class for your novelties. So again, they'd look at the schedule and they'd say, yep, I've got a hound. I'll do class 1, please. They'd write the name, the dog's name, the dog's age, and the Kennel Club do sometimes say that they want email addresses. Now, I'm not sure why. I have done dog shows many years ago. Maybe they've changed the rules. I'm not sure. They do change the rules quite often, but they do say that booking in slips, you should have an email address. If someone doesn't want to give their email address, for me personally, I think that's absolutely fine. I can understand that. Some people just leave it blank. Some people will tell you, but if you add email address on there, at least you are complying with the Kennel Club. Underneath, you'd have classes are, for example, £1 a class. Please tick the novelty classes that you want. So again, they might say, oh yeah, I can enter a few of these. I'll do 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, and 10. Underneath, obviously, you'd have the child's name if you've got a child handler class, and the dog's age, again, for puppy and veteran. Now, as I said before with the ring numbers, what they would do is when they arrive, so they've filled in this form, okay, and you've given them a ring number. What you need to do then is write the ring number that you've given them on this slip of paper, okay, whatever number that may be. Once they've had the ring number and they've walked off with the safety pin, you keep this slip of paper, and again, you transfer it, into your book. So again, a page per class to make it easier, so you can rip that page off, hand it to the steward. So you'd write down the same thing. So you'd write down the amount of people that have entered, the person's name, the dog's name, and you need an extra section then for the ring number, okay? And this is very important. For example, you've got 5 people entering the Terrier and Hound class, and there's only 4 people in the ring. And the steward walks around and says, number 21, yep, 14, yep, 7, yep, 22, yep, missing number 10. Number 10, please. And then number 10 will say, oh, sorry, yes, I'm just come in. And they'd enter the ring and say, yeah, everybody's here. That's absolutely fine. And that is how to do the booking in forms for the fun dog show, novelty dog show, and your companion dog show. And in part 4, we will get onto the last part of how to run an outdoor dog show.